Hello horse lovers! Today we're going to be talking about pole spacing, the correct spacing for walk, trot, canter poles, and how to ride over them properly. Hope this helps you and that you enjoy.
Okay, as you can see here, I have my canter, my walk, and my trot poles all set up, and we're going to go over the spacing. So for walk poles, you want them spaced 2 to 2.5 feet apart, and I'm using my Cavalettis, and I'm going to explain why I'm using my Cavalettis later in this video. For trot poles, you want them spaced 3.5 to 4 feet apart, and we're going to go over that more later. And for canter poles, it's anywhere between 7 to 11 feet, just depending on your horse's stride and size. But right now I have these ones set at 7.5. So today I'm going to be using Pongo, my 20-year-old Western trained Appaloosa gelding. We are going to be demonstrating walking over the poles, jogging over them, trotting, and of course cantering. Now, as we were discussing the pole spacing, it is all based on an average sized horse, anywhere from 15 to 15.2 hands. Pongo is just about 15.1, so these are what they're set at. Now, with each horse, it might be a little different, and you have to adjust to that based on the horse's side and their stride as well. Okay, so first we're going to demonstrate walking over the walk ground poles. So I use Cavalettis because Pongo sometimes doesn't lift as much, so I want to teach him to lift his legs and be conscientious of where his body's at. Hence why I'm using Cavalettis that are slightly raised instead of just flat ground poles. But the spacing is the same. And when I was doing my measurement for this spacing, I did use a tape measure for each set. So using a tape measure and exactly measuring out the feet for the spacing is the most accurate way to space your poles properly. I definitely think walking over ground poles is definitely beneficial, especially when they're slightly raised like I have, because like I said, it teaches the horse to be conscientious of where all 4 of their legs are, teaches them to lift without being strenuous, and I just think overall it's a really good exercise. And he's doing really good. He's trying really hard and really thinking about where he's placing his feet. So my focus when I'm going over ground poles is to approach them straight and center, go over them straight and center, and then end straight as well. And sometimes, and you'll see this in the video, I will halt and see how straight I ended up being at the end of our line. So that's really the main goal, is just keeping them straight and center while lifting over the object as well. And you see right there, his back hoof kind of nicked the end of the Cavaletti. So just getting them to be conscientious of where their body is really important. Okay, we're gonna jog a little bit, warm up, and then I'm gonna ask him to jog over the trot poles, and I will remain in my sitting trot, sitting jog, and then afterwards, we're gonna do more of a working trot where I'm posting and he's going a little quicker. Okay, so we're going to approach the ground poles, and I have these ones set up at 4 feet, and they are trot poles, so he has a little bit of a shorter stride in the trot, but these should still work at the jog. And as you can see, I just barely gave him his reins, and I just sat still and maintained rhythm and used my core strength, and he went over them pretty nicely. And then I'm going to stop and make sure we're straight, and we are. Good boy. Okay, so now I'm going to switch directions and trot a little bit this way. Okay, so while we're making our way around the corner, I'll tell you a little more about Pongo. I got him last year, or actually this year, early spring. And yeah, I got him. He's 20 years old, and he was primarily Western trained. He worked some cattle, but we've been doing Western English, some jumping, lower level shows, and trail riding. And he's proving to be a really nice gelding. I really enjoy him. And when we first started doing ground poles, he literally did not understand it at all. So he's come a long way. And that was really nice as well. So again, when I'm doing these ground poles, I'm making sure that I'm staying as straight as I can. I'm trying to go soft when I'm turning around the bends or the corners, and just maintaining that rhythm. So it's just nice because it helps them maintain elasticity, but also gets them flexible and really supple. So I really enjoy this exercise. So as you can see now, I'm in a working trot, and I'm posting and asking him to go over the ground poles that way, and I'm going to do it in the other direction as well, because again, I think it's important to maintain a difference between more of a trot versus a jog, especially in his situation where he does Western and now he's doing English and other things. So maintaining rhythm at different speeds and gaits. So I think that is a big element too, and just adding in the ground poles to make it more technical. Okay, so we're going to be approaching the trot poles here in a second. And again, I'm just trying to make it a soft turn and getting him nice and straight without him falling into the inside. And that was really good. He definitely was lifting, kind of stretching out a little bit, rounding and stretching down at the end. And we're gonna halt, make sure we're straight, good to go. Okay, now we're gonna move into the canter and warm up a little bit with that. So Pongo's canter has improved quite a bit. It looks very fluid and fun, but it's kind of choppy, but also like rocking at the same time. So it's just taken a while to adjust to that, but he's coming a long way and it's getting smoother. So I have these poles specifically set up for him, and he's able to just canter over them, but also lift a little bit while he's going over them as well. So that's kind of the point, and to get him to kind of reach just a little bit without putting too much strain on as well. This can also be really beneficial to helping them learn their stride when it comes to jumping, which we're not going to be doing any serious jumping, but at the same time, it's just important to learn. So that last set, he kind of put it an extra step, but it just helps to teach them to get their strides and to understand what the feeling is as well as a rider. So I don't expect to be perfect each time. We're always learning. And while Pongo did have training, he had sat for a year before I got him, and he was kind of their horse that they just took out and worked once in a while. But that was primarily what his focus was just sometimes he'd do a little bit of rodeo, some cow work, maybe go to a local fair here and there, but nothing super consistent. However, he has really good training, and I'm really enjoying him, and I like bringing the versatility into his training and his career path. I'm also riding him bitless, and he's in a Little S Hackamore and a Biothane headstall and reins. I have a bunch of these in different colors, and I really enjoy them. I definitely ride with bits as well, but today we just want to go bitless. It's like 30 degrees, so I was like, well, let's do bitless so you don't have a super cold bit in your mouth. But he's very soft and responsive. Also, if you're enjoying this, if you could hit that like button, Pongo and I would really appreciate it. Okay, so I hope that you were able to learn about how to space your ground poles and how to ride over them. We're going to wrap up our session for today. Pongo did a really good job, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit that subscribe button for more.